This video is going to go over simplifying algebraic expressions. There's a few math terms that I'd like to first go over with you, which are also on your note sheet. First, we have a term. So each part of this expression is a different term. So for example, in this expression, there are 4 terms. Don't forget, an expression is just like this down at the bottom. Expressions do not have equal signs. Coefficient, we've talked about in general before. The coefficient is the number in front of the variable. For example, 7. The coefficient in front of this y would be a -3, and the coefficient here would be a +2. I always say whatever sign's in front of the number stays with the number. Okay, so this makes this a -3. Okay, today we're going to talk about like terms, and we're going to actually simplify algebraic expressions by combining like terms. So if you look at this expression again, and you think, okay, what can I combine? In order to combine, they need to be like terms, and they have to have the same variable raised to the same exponent or power, but could have different coefficients. So, for example, we can combine this 7x and a +2x. Since they're both positive, we would just add them together. So then we would get 9x. Hold on 1 second. 9x plus 5 minus 3y. Anything that does not have a pair to match up with, you would just bring it down. Okay, so please follow along on your note sheets while I'm doing them on here. Please be sure to pause if you need to. Rewind, fast forward, whatever you need to do to get through the lesson. Okay, our first example, -2x plus 5y plus 7 plus 4x. Okay, so first I'm going to see what can I combine. -2x plus 4x. When you're combining, you're going to add them together. So -2 plus 4 would be 2x. The 5y and the 7, they cannot match up. They're not like. We cannot combine them. So we just bring them down. And then that's it. When you're simplifying expressions, you're just cleaning them up. There's no solving, nothing like that. Example 2. Okay, so we have a -8 and a 7, which those are constants, which we talked about before. Constants are just numbers, okay? And then we have our x terms. I'm going to circle them. So I boxed the constants, circled the x's. Now let's combine. -8 plus 7 is -1. And -5 plus 1x would be -4x. So since it's a -4, I'm going to write -4x. Also, when you're writing these expressions, it does not matter the order as long as the correct sign stays with the number. For example, if I wanted to write this again, but put the x term first, I can write -4x. My 1 has a negative, so I'm going to put -1. These are the same. It does not matter which way. As you go on to high school and that, typically you do start with your variable terms first. Okay, so overall this one would be the better way to write it, but either one would be correct. Okay, example 3. All right, we have two x terms. So I'm just going to combine them. And it's negative 8 plus 12, which is 4. X. And then that would be it. Just a quick thought as well as, just to point out the difference between like terms and non-like terms. Let's say if I did have negative 8x plus 12x plus x squared. If I had something like that, please understand that you can only combine these two. This one you cannot combine. That one's to the second power. In order to be a like term, it needs to be the same exponent, the same variable, and also raised to the same exponent. So these first two, these are technically to the first term. The last one would be to the second term. Okay, this first part of show off your skills. What I'd like for you to do now is pause the video. And then when you finish these, press play again. Okay, so hopefully you just pressed play again and you finished your show off your skills on your own. Now I'm going to go over the answers to these. For number 1, we have our x terms and we have our constants. 7x plus 9x is 16x. And then 8 and 13 are both positive. Let's add them together and you get 21. For example 2, if you notice, looking at this, we have an x squared, a y squared, and then just an x. So we cannot do anything. So you have two options. You can just write simplified, or you can write it again. And then that's it. The third one, we have 9a plus 60a. It's 69a minus 10. 10 you cannot pair up with anything. The last one, we have our ends. And then we have our constants. Okay, there's a lot of negatives here, but remember, you're always adding them together. So let's work with our ends. For the ends, you are doing negative 7 plus negative 64. So that's going to be negative 71n. And then we have negative 21 plus negative 8 is negative 29. Okay. Here's 4 more, which you might have already done already. If not, pause, complete these, and then come back on. All right, I'm going to start. We have t squared, and then we have p's. Okay, 5t squared plus negative 2t squared is going to be 3t squared. And then we have 7 plus negative 3, which would be a positive 4. There we go. Next one. Couple c's, and then we have 2 constants. All right. Don't forget this minus c over here is a minus 1c. So for the c's, we do have 5 plus negative 4 plus negative 1. 5 plus negative 4 is 1, and then 1 plus negative 1 is 0. So that means you have 0c, which means the c is gone. It's canceled out. Then we have 8 minus 2, or 8 plus negative 2, and we get 6. For number 7, 4q minus 1q is 3q. And number 8, we have our d's, and we have our c's. 9 plus negative 4 is 5d, and then 7 plus negative 2 is 5. Okay, one more concept, the distributive property. This distributive property you might be familiar with from last year. When you have a number standing directly next to the parentheses, you distribute or multiply through to every term inside the parentheses. So for this, it'd be 6 times 5, which is 30, and then 6 times n would be 6n. Okay, let's start going over this. So we are going to continue simplifying, where we're going to see some distributive property as well as just combining in general. So for this first one, the 4m I'm just going to bring down. I'm not using that yet. 3 times m is 3m. And then 3 times 8 is 24. Then we clean up if we can. So for this situation, (4m plus 3m is 7m plus 24. Okay, a little bit bigger, just take it one step at a time. Negative 6 times 2x is negative 12x. Now negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. Then I'm going to bring down the plus 3x plus 7. Okay, now let's continue and clean up what we can. Negative 12 plus 3 would be negative 9x. And then 36 plus 7 is 43. Don't forget again, if you happen to have the 43 written first, that's okay too. However, if you put the 43 first, please know the 43 is positive. And the x term is a negative, so it would be minus 9x. These, again, are the same. Now, be careful here. For this one, if you notice, there's a minus sign right in front and attached with the parentheses. So that means this is a negative 1 standing there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down my 4x, and now I'm distributing a negative 1 to both terms. So this would be minus 3x, and then negative 1 times negative 8 would be a positive 8. Now we clean up. 4 plus negative 3, or 4 minus 3 is 1x plus 8. Or if you want to be really sophisticated and drop that 1 and just write x plus 8, that would be phenomenal. Okay, good job. Hopefully you're doing a good job. Okay, we're going to skip the word problem. Okay, we will do that tomorrow together. Okay, so what I want you to do now is in your on-course message also will be a Wayground code for you to continue on and practice this. If and when you finish the Wayground code, there's going to be a coloring sheet up at the front table that will also go over simplifying expressions. Have a good day.